Oh, I love your tattoos. My brother, it's a spitting image.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
It's one
No,
of the
no,
best.
no, no. This is my favorite. Oh, you killed that.
Yeah, I really worked hard on the eyes.
He's so cute. I love his butthole. It reminds me that I have a belly button.
The King of Staten Island was my favorite movie of 2020, easily. Not that 2020 really gave us that many movies to look forward to, or anything to look forward to, but the point is that I loved this movie. The comedy and the drama mix better than probably any other movie I've ever seen. Except maybe The Upside, but The Upside leaned a lot heavier on the drama than it did the comedy. The King of Staten Island is much more balanced. All of the funny conversations between the characters work so well because even though they are hilarious conversations, it's nothing that you can't imagine you and your friends talking about. The comedy in this movie is very real. Nothing happens that couldn't happen in real life, and nothing happens that you can't imagine somebody that you know doing. Everybody has that one friend that they know is immature enough and maybe just a little bit dumb enough to tattoo a child.
Don't worry, dude. This will just be on you for the rest of your life.
There you go. Look at you, tough guy.
The scene is funny because, let's be honest, you can picture somebody that you know in that scene. And that's how it is with this whole movie. Everybody in the movie feels like somebody that you've met before, and every conversation in the movie feels like the type of conversation that you and your friend have had before. The funny scenes that happen feel like the type of funny stories that one of your friends might tell you, oh, when I was younger, me and my friends did this. When I was younger, I worked at a restaurant where you had to box to get your tips. Ridiculous things happen, but it's never so insane that you can't picture it happening in real life. And that's the best type of comedy because it's the kind that you can relate to the most. The drama is excellent too. Despite all the mistakes that our main character makes, you still want to see him come out okay and get through everything alive. You don't want to see him get arrested or hurt himself, because even though he can be a jerk, he still feels like somebody that you know, or somebody that you've been before. He spends most of the movie being a complete douche to everybody, but he's relatable enough that even though you don't like the things that he's saying and doing, you still care about him. You root for him, and you want him to find the happiness that he's looking for. But that's enough of me gushing about how well the drama and comedy blend. What's the movie actually about? Pete Davidson plays Scott Carlin, a guy who's been depressed ever since his dad died when he was a little kid. He spends most of his time hanging out with his best friend, who he's also in love with, but doesn't know how to express it, who's in love with him too and waiting for him to commit. He also spends a lot of time hanging out with his group of friends, who he often smokes weed with and practices his tattooing on. He lives with his mother, played by Marissa Tomei, and his sister, played by Maud Apatow, who's the daughter of the director of this movie, Judd Apatow. And Scott's younger sister is really the one that's been keeping his feet on the ground all of these years. She looks after him and stops him from doing stupid things and tries to keep bad ideas out of his head. She's basically had to be his big sister even though she's younger than him. But when she goes off to university, there's really nothing keeping Scott from doing bad things. So one day Scott tattoos a little boy on the beach, and his father, played by Bill Burr, is pretty ticked, as I'm sure anybody in that situation would be. But not long after meeting Scott's mom, Bill Burr starts to really like her, and they end up dating. Scott has a problem with this for two reasons. The main reason being that he doesn't like him, but the other reason being that he's a firefighter, just like his dad, who died in a hotel fire when he was young. The incident gave Scott a lot of disdain for firefighters, and he believes that they shouldn't have families because you never know when you're not going to come home if you're a firefighter. And though you do see where he's coming from with that belief, Steve Buscemi's character has a great line about it. Without quoting the exact line, the summary would be that even though the kids don't deserve the pain of losing their father, the father does deserve to have a family, because heroes should get to have families. Anyways, one day the two get into a fight, and they end up both getting kicked out of the house, because Marissa Tomei believes that they're both destructive and immature. She do got a point though. The two end up living together at the firehouse, where they start to get along and understand each other a lot more. And Scott learns to respect the firefighters. This is where the two really become friends. At the end of the movie, they resolve their problems with Marissa Tomei, and they all live happily ever after, I guess. It's also implied that Scott does end up with his best friend at the end, but it's not really spelled out for you, and the ending is kind of interpretive. He tells her that he loves her, and they kiss, and then they go their separate ways for what's said to be 3 hours while she's at some sort of meeting. She goes into the building where her meeting is at, Scott just kind of stares into the distance, and the movie ends. I really, really like this movie, and a lot of that can be attributed to Pete Davidson. He's probably the most relatable celebrity I've ever seen, because everything he says about his mental health, his self-esteem, and his beliefs in general really apply to me. Except for maybe his religious beliefs, because I don't know what his are, but in general, the way he lives his life and the way he feels about himself are all things that I truly understand. He's the first celebrity that I've seen talk about issues in mental health that apply to me personally. There was a lot of passion put into this movie because it was loosely inspired by Pete Davidson's real life, being that his dad died in 9/11 when he was 7, his character in the movie is named after his dad, and he came from Staten Island, he lives in Staten Island, that's where he's from. And he does live with his mother, but the difference is he doesn't live with his mother as like a hobo in her house like he does in the movie. In real life, him and his mom bought a house together, and he lives in the basement area because there's like an apartment down in the basement, and she lives in the top area. But there's just a lot of aspects of this movie that do apply to his real life, and you can tell that it was a passion project for him. I didn't see every movie that came out in 2020, but out of the ones I did see, this was easily the best one. The only flaw I can find with this movie isn't even a flaw, it's just something that might bother other people that doesn't bother me. And it's the fact that the movie is 2.5 hours long. Some people might not like that, but I was completely fine with it. That's all I have to say about The King of Staten Island, so like this video if you liked this video, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. That's all I have to say for this video, so have a good day.